All right. Good morning, everybody. Hope you're having yourselves a fantastic start to your Thursday here. And yeah, looking like it could be a reasonably interesting day as we basically continue, right, to play around with some of these ranges. And we're hopeful that we can eventually get a breakout or a resolution of that story and yeah, really kind of get back. I mean, pretty resilient market here, right? We seem constantly determined to push towards all time highs. That's impressive. Now, maybe a little bit too early to call that as a narrative here yet, but this may be Friday and Thursday starting to look a little bit like a capitulation type move, or potentially like that bearish blow off type thing. And we seem to be back to business as usual here to a certain extent. Now, probably not ready to be that aggressive, right? I think it probably maintains still a little bit of an expectation that it's going to be choppy and a little bit indecisive. Like if we think back to yesterday's price action, it was an incredibly whipsawy opening 90 minutes, right? Like if not more. And it wasn't really until you got a pretty significant breakout there well into the morning session that you actually started to get some decent follow through. So not sure if this would have even been a particularly tradable range, right? Like based on all of my rules, this wouldn't have been an entry, and if it was, it'd be a stop out before the move happens. This maybe could have been something, but at that point, right, you're feeding at scraps. So sometimes markets are just going to move without maybe kind of like neatly following our rules. And what our job to do, right, if we experience conditions like that, like we got there yesterday, is to make sure that we're not forcing it, right? We're not chasing it. We're not doing whatever. We're not effectively trying to trade a close enough. We're just trying to trade the technique that we've tested, that we've stress tested, and that we trade. And the more consistent we can be in the application of it, the better our trading is going to go. The reality here is that like the variance or the spread, right, of the amount of trades you get when you get the trades, which ones are wins, which ones are losses, it's effectively random. And we don't need to force a like any specific trade here on a daily basis. We don't need to do anything. All we need to do is be diligent and focused, right, on executing our process. And if we do that, then the numbers game works out in our favor. The second we deviate away from that, the second we start to compromise our confirmation standard, or we ignore setup triggers, or we skip risk reward requirements, now we start putting ourselves in situations where winning and scaling and growing, right, becomes impossible because the numbers game is literally working against us, not for us. So sometimes the most difficult thing to do as a trader, right, is to basically be willing to be bored. And that for us right now is a little bit of a superpower. Now hopefully markets are exciting and interesting and we get lots of good action here today. But the objective, right, or the base expectation is that markets are going to behave like they always have until proven otherwise. And right now, our always have is choppy, fake outy, and kind of like frothy price action. And so we need to be very deliberate, very precise here this morning, and really buy ourselves time to make that like extra decision. So with that being said, let's start mapping things out here a little bit this morning. Let's figure out what we want to do, and then let's go from there. A little bit less Fed speak here today. We don't have Trump speaking to squawker services, so it should be a little bit maybe of a smoother perspective to start. Now, decent move here overnight, right, which could potentially be a little bit of a concern. If our implied volatility now is literally 1%, our VIX is at 16.09. We've done a pretty good chunk of that move here already, right? Range here on the morning is pretty much spot on 1%. So if we're saying that this is a like range bound market, right, potentially, and we're looking for that range bound market to establish more aggressive trading conditions, then this upper third, right, would be probably a logical spot for us to also look at rejections. So the rejection we want to see here today, right, isn't necessarily at all-time highs. I mean, yes, but it's going to be, we'll say it in like the blue zone, and then a breakdown under, right? And blue zone's going to be, we'll have to find a better term for that here at some point. But in the short term, it's a green candle, decreasing volume, gap up. So 2 out of 3 to the upside without volume. And I'm just going to go same note as yesterday, right? Fake out backdrop / consolidation. So we're looking to either play the range bound trade until we get that proven otherwise breakout. And while we're maintaining those range bound conditions, we would like to be just a little bit deliberate, right? In making sure that we're not chasing anything here too crazy. To the upside, we're looking at 64.30, right, as our starting point, and then up and over. So if we do get that space, we're going to have a little bit of room up towards that 64.70, which then is that sort of upper, we'll call it blue line. Maybe I'll change these. If we use them as our reference price, that could get a little bit annoying. Okay. To the downside here, right? Just looking for that rejection and then move towards 360. So 63.60, right, would be the starting point here, and then down towards like 62.40 eventually. Now that's probably a little bit aggressive. Probably 6,300 is the sweet spot there. Hey, good morning, Tony. Again, that's plenty of space there if we can get it. With the implied range that we're in here today, this is a pretty good opportunity for this gap up to basically get stuffed. And yeah, let's cross that bridge if it happens. Okay. NQ, pretty similar story right here. Again, I'm going to change these to yellow lines. That probably needs to be there. And we're going to call this a 2 out of 3 to the upside without volume again. And then just big concern, right, is that the move here has happened overnight. Implied range is 1%. You're having a little bit of a fuller variant of that move here today, at least in the pre-market, right? So very, very similar to what we saw there on ES. The, I guess, point to note here as well, right? The implied volatility is just that. It's not necessarily like a hard and fast rule. And oftentimes what you can see is, so when you have an expected range here of like 1%, right? For example, here today, and then we get a really, really strong breakout and we continue to push higher, you know, deep down, there's like a little bit of an indication or fear in your head that, oh, there's not the volatility, there's not the space for us to make this move. But when you get really strong breakouts, when the implied range is tight, it's almost like a formal of a consolidation breakout, right? And it actually can create a little bit of a narrative that the trend is very strong. So that would be really like the bull case that we're looking for here this morning. We'd like to see that almost like out of this world enthusiasm show up if we're going to continue to trust that narrative higher. Trading a grindy bit of PA to the upside would be very, very uninteresting. From a target perspective here, we're looking probably 23.7. And then we can go maybe up to like 24,000. We can get 24,000 here today, team. I think we're all laughing. To the downside here, we're looking at a 23.4 kind of as our starting point. And then going down from there. I do think probably the path of least resistance is maybe a little bit still to the downside. But it is worth having a bias here in either direction. Okay. Crude had inventories data there yesterday. setting up as a 3 for 3 here to the downside, and we'd like to crack under that 60 handle. So no bull case on CL here this morning. If it's going to be a two-way tape, we'll be focusing on the indexes. My starting point here is going to be 63.50. All right, and then again, 5% is kind of what we have to be conscious of. So that puts me down towards 61. So I'll go 61.50, and basically that's my max limit here this morning. Cool. Okay, Apple, big green candle, increasing outlier volume gap up, right? Positive news that there's going to be building $20,000 iPhones out of the US. Tesla, technically a 3 for 3 here to the upside, 8-cent gap up. Microsoft, red candle, increasing volume gap up. 2 out of 3 with volume. Kind of a little bit of like a sneaky rotation away from Microsoft into Apple there yesterday. If we can get those narratives to sync up and be consistent, then that's going to be our opportunity, right, to get that kind of exaggerated breakout that I was mentioning. So hopefully, right, that's kind of a story that we can fall in love with here this AM. And yeah, I'd love to see that. Amazon, 2 out of 3 to the upside with volume. NVIDIA, an inside bar. So again, consolidation breakout, right, is the story. AMD, red candle, crazy volume, gap up, weak red candle, opening up above that previous candle's close. Looks a little bit contextually like a reversal. Meta, lower low, decreasing volume, gap up, but a 2 out of 3 there to the upside. With volume, not great volume, but still has the support. And then Netflix, 3 for 3. So a little bit, probably more of a trending backdrop to the upside here on our leading names, right? Probably a little bit of a stronger story within that context. Not quite perfect, I wouldn't say, but maybe a little bit of a story there. And then, like we said, VIX hanging out 16 spot 1, 2, not exactly high momentum. We got to be a little bit patient, right? A little bit cautious, and then go from there. So markets open in 30 seconds. Hopefully we're all feeling good, feeling sharp, feeling ready to go. I think it should be a relatively interesting trading day. Yeah, any questions here, team? How's everyone feeling? Yeah, I'm excited for today. It should be an interesting one. Love to hear that, Todd. Nice, Michael. Yeah, feeling good too. Okay, again, so just going to keep an eye on that initial pattern. Not a huge range today. Like all things considered, kind of small. Looking like it's probably going to be a failed breakout. So yeah, wouldn't be an entry here on that idea. We're seeing mostly indecisive, or a pretty indecisive open, I should say. I was going to say mostly seeing indecision. Pretty light volume, I would say as well. I think lightest of the week. See, or Tuesdays. 527's the light. We did 24. So lightest volume of the week here so far. Or lightest volume open of the week on ES. Not quite on NQ by the looks of it. NQ may be a little bit stronger from a volume perspective. But still technically would be lightest open of the week. Not by a huge margin though. A little bit, but not by a huge margin. So again, I think that probably gives me a little bit of reasons to continue to slow down, right? If I'm not seeing like a huge amount of enthusiasm here early, I probably do want to be a bit patient. A lack of volume is going to create a scenario where it's quite easy to get faked out. Even CL is very, very light. We got some work to do. And I think very much we're, at least until we break out through, I think, this consolidation zone, that we're very much in a scenario where we're probably going to make more money waiting than we are going to make money trading. So I think yesterday was a really good example of that, where like yesterday we didn't lose money, or we didn't lose big money, right? For those who took a trade, um, and we avoided, right, basically compounding negatively. Like as shitty as that is, or as like as boring as that is, I think that that's like a really important skill to have as a trader, into basically understanding that not every day is going to be a money making day. Not every day is going to be an opportunity where we have to press. And I think we did a really good job. Like I think someone did the calculation, saved probably, $800 or something along those lines. So then when you stack up a bunch of accounts, all of a sudden now you're saving 10 grand. And that's a really significant decision. So it's almost like we've heard the adage, right? A penny found is a penny earned. Um, Kind of the same thing here with trading. Like or maybe the better variant, right? A penny saved is a penny earned. We saved a lot of money there yesterday, and I think that earns us all a lot of future gains, right? Is really the way of looking at it. And yeah, just delaying that gratification, not forcing something if it isn't there. Those are going to be the things we really have to focus on in these low volume environments. 600, not super enthusiastic. CL with the rejection, and then what's a little bit challenging about this is now the size of this pullback. 38 to or 35 to like even a 45 would be okay. But I don't like the instant fake out, instant pullback. Probably not the combo you'd want to see if you're a bear. If NQ can die here at 600, give me that little ORB breakdown. That maybe it'd be a decent setup for us. Yeah, I think that was the right read. The instant fake out deep pullback's a very scary combo. Now, if 600 continues to act as support, then that probably gives us our potential catalyst, right, for that upper move. A little bit of a mixed story on the indexes here this AM. I still can't really do anything with this. All right, so again, still pretty slow start here. We'd like to now see a breakout hold above basically that fake out high, right? So above this area. Same thing here on ES, right? We'd like to see our setup be triggered on basically a breakout above that fake out zone. I want all of our breakouts, if we're going to trade any here today, to just be textbook clean, right? No reason to be like fearful that there might be a little bit of resistance above us. It has to be clean and it has to be obvious. I think is probably the best term here. We got a $1.40 to go. We should get there from a volume perspective. Let's see. We have a bit of time here until 10 a.m. data. It's not red folder data, so probably not expecting it to be a tremendous impact. Depending on how the trade moves, we still got 20 minutes. That's a lot of time, right? But how the trade moves, this might be a position where I close within a minute of that 10 a.m. Now we'll talk about that if we get to it, or it'll be a bit more appropriate to do so. But potentially, if this is or ends up being something that is breaking out, then we do have a little bit of a shot clock on this, and so just worth being aware of it. Let's see how this thing closes. Probably want to see it now close above 640, or as strong of a close as you can get. 5 minute did technically break out, but not on the volume. 40 seconds to go. Let's see. Good volume though, right? This is looking sharp. Okay, 30 seconds. So red folder, just Forex Factory has like a classification, right, of what they anticipate to be intense. So red is the most intense. Okay, 2 seconds. Where's it going to close? Closed pretty much right at it. So for now, we'd be looking at the pullback entry technique. And I'd like to get a discount relative to that. So stop loss would be 613.50. I'll just keep it simple, 613. I'm going to start to set up my order here, right? But be nice and slow about it. No rush. And I'll just be looking at a two contract play. Now, the thing immediately, right, that stands out to me on this move, which is going to slow me down from clicking submit here right away, is that this pullback, right, post close has happened in a flash, right? You know, we spent 3 minutes basically making this entire move and it pulled back in 5 seconds, right? 60% of it. And then now would have stopped us out. So setting up my order was all fine and dandy, but I had no reason to click submit because the speed of that pullback initially way too fast, right? Even before I could even set my stop loss price, it was already at my reference price. If a trade is making me rush to jump in, can't be taking that trade, right? I'm setting myself up to make a bad decision. And this for me would have been pretty much an instant stop out. So happy, right? Fine. Again, buying myself that extra moment, right, to make a decision. And that's worked out very well there for me. Looking like quite the rejection now, too. So that probably gives us our indication, right, of a potential bullish failure, especially if we can get that to be paired up with break and hold under 600. That'd be quite positive. Everyone understand why there was no reason to click submit on that first setup? And you guys all saw the enthusiasm, right? Like how fast it happened. Yeah. So basically what we're trying to always see, right, if we're going to try to contextualize it, is we want to see how do you want to call it? Like we want to see weak bears, right? So if we're bullish, we want to see weak bears. Weak bears aren't moving price quickly, right? Weak bears are moving price slowly. So we're trying to always ask ourselves that before we ever make a decision. Should get the increasing volume here. I didn't quite want to close under 600. No, just under the volume standard. Yeah, just no. So the 632 now is just the previous breakout target, right? So it wasn't that was the reference price, but I just moved that candle back because that was the initial high of day. And so we were looking for a setup right above that initial high of day or above that 632 as our breakout target. So I've just moved it back to that price. Right? Because this is where we've seen now price fail, right? On that breakout. So for me, that's why it's interesting. So any subsequent breakout here to the upside, we would need to see that area hold. Again, we are looking here, but we need to see an increasing volume standard. We don't have it, right? By the skin of its teeth on ES, similar, but I'm nervous about that psychological level, right? That 400 bit spooky. We saw this thing stall out a little bit at 600, right? That's a bit spooky. So I'd rather wait for now that breakout to occur through the low of the opening range. Basically, make sure that we're not seeing the fake out in both directions like we saw there yesterday morning. We've also kind of the pattern we've seen here a little bit, right? Is we like to do like a little equal move higher, equal move lower type scenario, and then we get the clean move here of the day. So we're basically trying to make sure that we're buying enough time to become fake out proof on the thesis. Right? If you're too aggressive in this chop, I think that sets you up to just get faked out way too easy. Again, let's see. We got a couple minutes here left on this candle, or 50 seconds left on this candle. Starting to show those potential fake out signs, right? Same thing with ES. I mean, we should get there from a volume perspective, right, on both of these, which would be positive. But we now need to make sure that that volume is actually giving us the story that we're trying to purchase, right? So I would say it looks like a fake out on NQ. ES, a little bit more positive, right? Absolutely a little bit more positive. So we'd be looking like something like this for now. Basically can't see it pull back more than 402 if we're going to use the aggressive. If it's going to be the pullback technique, you have a little bit more space, but 6 points of risk, too much. So I'd probably want to see it go like 404. But for now, it looks like it might be going aggressive. If that's the case, right, stop loss then would be 401. And then your reference price would be the low of your confirmation candle. ORB equals opening range breakout. So you're looking at 4 points of risk, right? Approximately, call it 3.5 points of risk. So just watching here. It's not quite giving me a separation away from that zone. And again, if it's going to give me the pullback technique with the stop loss there at 407, then I'm looking like that price for a pullback. Effectively, I would like to buy such an overreaction that my entry can almost like act as insurance, right? Where if I buy a really big, deep overreaction pullback, there's kind of like a little bit of a larger probability that I'm green just from like a relief bounce perspective. And I could use that relief bounce basically as my insurance, right? For if a move fails a breakout. Now let's see. Again, this feels like it's setting up that equal move lower now, equal move higher, which is a little bit, let's say, nerve wracking if you're going to be trusting a clean breakout. Call me old fashioned. I will watch ES here though, and I will have it all set up. I'm going to go stop loss to be 408, just give myself that extra tick. And you'd likely be looking, I'm looking at 3 contracts. I shouldn't say likely. I'd be looking at 3 contracts. It's a little inside bar, doesn't scare me. But again, I'm watching this pullback here closely. My hand's not even on the mouse, right? I'm just watching. I got everything set up here already. So all I have to do, right, is see the good reaction and then look over. I'm trying to make it easy for myself here to buy time to make this decision, right? Every bit of price action we've seen here so far today has effectively failed the narratives that we're looking to see. So my base expectation, right, is that that's going to be what happens. And so I want to basically buy it time to prove me right. I'd rather be wrong and miss the trade than be wrong and lose money, right? So if the idea then ends up being strong, I'll have another chance to enter. I'll have another opportunity. I don't need to rush this. I don't care, right? That it's now 402.25. Honestly, don't care. Makes no difference to me. I need to see a good reaction. That has been the first like reasonable feeling rejection that we've seen here. And so that's worth more than being up 3 points on a compromised maybe or a lack of information decision. Again, if the trade is strong, it'll give me multiple chances to enter. Can always reset back up, right? So don't rush it. And then it pulls back pretty quick. So again, we're back to watching. See how quickly things change? $9.53. We're getting a little bit close to 10 a.m. Again, a little bit close to that shot clock. Funny. I always think to myself, but very often, like the first time I think I can get an entry, I can usually get a better price. Like that was probably the first time maybe I thought I could get an entry there. But I think I can still get a better price. Not a super strong rejection from bears. I don't like that NQ keeps climbing. And again, stalled out at that 632. We can go back to using the aggressive. It'd be a stop loss at 402. It might not be possible. It would be, but not a fantastic look. I'd say that this is a compromised confirmation. And again, there's no pressure to take a trade here today, right? There's no pressure to make a decision. There's no pressure to do any of those things. We're just going to trade the market that's in front of us, right? If it gives us a setup, it gives us an entry, we're going to take it. If we don't, we're not going to hold it against ourselves that we followed our rules, right? Okay, potentially in business here again. That's a little bit of a big stop loss here, right? 397 to 402.50 it would have to be. Like you're looking at 2 contracts there, so I'm not sure if that juice is worth the squeeze. We can continue to look for a pullback entry until we get a breakout under 397. But the longer ES takes to, oh, all right. Well, there's a good reason to be patient. Literally took the words out of my mouth. And there's another avoided loss, right? Happy days. That was some fuckery. Again, our patience isn't making us any money, but it's definitely saving us money. Like, there's nothing you could have done about that one there. Now, it does probably create an environment where we can start to look for breakouts on NQ, right? Showing us a little bit of residual strength relative to ES. Maybe that could be in play. I guess probably the biggest issue I have here is just timing, right? We've got 3 minutes now till market data. I'm going to let it basically absorb that reaction first. And then we can see if something comes out of it. There's a pretty good opportunity for us to get enough volume here to say that we could have an entry post 10 a.m. I think for sure could be worth watching. But yeah, a lot of trickery here so far this morning. Glad to be patient. That last one, it would have felt like being hit by a bus. %, Greg. Second most profitable position here so far. It's been a good week, right? Like, I know we didn't get any action there yesterday, but it's been a good week here so far. Stacking up nice wins. We're building a little bit of consistency. And that's a good breakout. Breakout above high day. Just timing wise, I'm a little bit handcuffed here. How's everyone feeling so far? Everyone feeling good? Good, yeah. Hopefully we get some action here. It's been an interesting. Well, I don't know if it's been an interesting open. It's been kind of a dumb open. Oh, let's see. Stay on NQ here now. Probably just waiting to see if we can get a breakout above the previous high day. Breakout and hold. Seems like we're most likely to get a setup here on the 5-min, assuming we get a reasonable close. CL not particularly interesting for me here yet. ES may be a little bit interesting, but I would prefer NQ on the breakout because it'd be clear of its intraday chop. Again, equal move lower, equal move higher. It's like you know what predicting choppy price action feels like. It feels like predicting that like your buddy's girlfriend's gonna cheat on him. Like, oh man, I don't want to be right, but I am. Like, it's a hollow victory. Okay, so there we go. 10 a.m. Data. Not a huge reaction here yet. Yeah. I hope he's not based in the US, Logan. That's going to be quite the medical bill for the poor fellow. All right, so we're looking at this. Looking at a 651 stop loss. And your reference price would be confirmation high, right? When we're using the aggressive technique, reference price is always confirmation high. So I'm looking at a 651 stop loss. Again, buy yourself time. Was pulling back really fast. And let's see if it survives a worst case scenario. That's now going to be a 650 stop, maybe a bit tighter. And it's choppy bullshit. Okay, so now we'd be looking at a 637. And if it really pulls back deeper than this, you can't take it, which it looks like it's doing. Now setting up a possible rejection, and it's the same old bullshit we've seen all morning. What a life. All right. Possibly setting up as a rejection here. Increasing outlier volume, a strong candle close would be of interest. Better volume on NQ than ES. Honestly, kind of a bullshit day here so far. I think there's probably 1,000 other buddies all in that same line there, Market Miner. Put it this way though, if that's the case, you got to check in on your buddy because he is down bad. Yeah, I'm not sure if that's a good enough candle. I don't think I can qualify that as a confirmation. I think I can qualify that as more choppy nonsense. CL not strong enough candle close. For sure. But if I'm seeing even signs of indecision and I'm starting to see hints of a potential doji, I want to default and slow down, right? So if I'm looking at my candlesticks, I can kind of see this looking a little bit like the inbred cousin of the neutral bearish. So if I'm seeing just even a hint of indecision there, I want to slow down, right? Because everything I've seen here so far today is rewarding slowing down. So I want to take any excuse the market gives me basically to accept my fate. So I think like it's kind of contextual, right? Where each day, like we're gonna get clues over how the market is behaving or how things are effectively pricing, right, on an intraday basis, and we want to be using that like context we gain before we enter our trades to do well. And I think probably there's a big part of that is like why maybe there was a period there where like my first trade of the day was pretty much always a loss, and it was always because that first trade was with the least amount of information, right? The more information you gather from the market, the easier it is to make a kind of a clean decision. And so taking what the market is giving us, right, using that information, and then kind of adapting that right to our strategy. Yeah, we're not changing anything here technically, right? We're not changing anything from a technique perspective or anything along those lines. But days where you're getting a market moving just in a straight line nonstop, you're a little bit more likely, right, to be willing to trade the arrow up or arrow down type idea. Again, just a lot of reasons to be patient here so far. Boring as heck, but Yeah, I think so too. It's not it's not worth chasing any of this garbage here yet. Nothing would have made us any money, like objectively. So just be patient. It sucks, but that's the way it goes. Not enough volume. Again, I think that probably would have just stopped us out, right? If we had taken that trade. We would have used the aggressive entry technique. Stop loss would have been 653 probably. Didn't close under the lows. So again, we kind of need to see a breakout through that range. Yeah, not enough volume to justify a breakdown. I have to be patient here, unfortunately. I don't think that 10 men give me enough volume. Well, it did. That would have to be your setup there. And Q, same thing. You'd be looking at a potential rejection, stop loss 616, reference price. Your stop loss actually would be lower. It would be, 614. And I'm going to start to set up my NQ here again. Sell order, right? Stop loss 614. I'll call it 615. The math's simple. Too fast, be patient, too fast. Okay, still watching here. All right, so watching here again, team, watching here again. See if it can reject. Hey guys, I am in short 605.75, 605.75. Two contracts, stop loss 615. Short 605.75. We'll write it out in a second. I'm just trying to micromanage it just for a moment. Come on. Taking a little bit longer than I would like. Yeah. I think this has been a bad reaction here post entry. And so I kind of want to find an exit here, truth be told. If I can start to separate here, this could be good. But I'm getting a little bit nervous about how long it's taking to separate. Making me very nervous. It shouldn't be taking this long. It should have been a little bit of a smoother reaction. Hey guys, I'm out. I am out. Exit price 604. Exit price 604. Honestly, I kind of fought a little bit of hopium on that one. Like a little bit of hopium, because when I started talking there, yapping there a little bit, it felt like my idea was not correct, right? It felt like my entry wasn't correct, and I was wanting to get out pretty much at entry price or lower, and then it flushed down under 600, and I kind of got like a little bit of extra hope that maybe the move was starting to happen. But I didn't have any evidence to suggest that was the case besides just my P&L being bigger. I probably should have done a little bit of a better job closing there. Probably panic closes it a little bit on a move back up above 600. But it was the right decision. But yeah, I probably should have walked away $500, not $40. So just, yeah, just the entry not giving us the quite the reaction we wanted. Had to get nimble. I didn't get nimble enough. I should have done a little bit better there. Again, didn't go down with the ship. Really positive. Let's go, Kiki. Nice work. Again, like I'm not mad about it, right? Like it's fine. I think it was a good decision. It saved me money. Probably saved me $500, right? All things considered net. So good, right? Good outcome. But a little bit disappointed that yeah. A little bit disappointed I didn't do a little bit better job there closing 595, 592, whatever. I think I could have gone a much better close. I got a little bit greedy there at the point where I didn't need to be greedy. Did like so the people who got stopped out on that trade, right? Like I would like to ask why. Do think I was pretty vocal about the trade not behaving super well. I guess why go down with the ship, right? Because like I don't think I was, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think I was whispering sweet nothings, right? And like even after I got my exit at 604, it did retest that price again. Right. So like the emphasis here I want, guys, is couple fold. Like I'm not trying to bitch anyone out here. But we gotta we got to get off that stubbornness a little bit, right? That's sort of the objective. And look, if we're getting out of our trade because we think the idea is no longer valid or it's not behaving the way that we expect, our emphasis there isn't to try to close as our P&L is increasing, right? Our emphasis is to get out before it turns into a max loss, right? So we're not making that decision out of, okay, let me maximize my P&L here. It's okay, how can I make sure that my ass doesn't get burnt, right? Because once I see that my idea here is no longer giving me the right entry, right? I'm not telling myself that my thesis is strong. I'm telling myself that my thesis is probably incorrect. So if my thesis is incorrect, right? I just get out. I can't hold on to that. Like where I said where I screwed up on this trade, right? Is I should have closed it at that 604 the first time, not when it then makes a move down to 590 and then back up to 604. It was allowing the hopium, right, to trick me into thinking, ooh, now the move is happening, but when that wasn't the reality. Right? So that's something we really got to be aware of, right? Because just surviving these types of days Okay, $50 here, minus $100 here, minus $200 here, plus $200 here. It's going to give you a lot more confidence as a trader because you're making really tough decisions that get rewarded by not turning into painful decisions. So like almost you think of it like as a level, like you got to gain enough XP type thing, right? To like video gamify it. Level one of that is okay, once my idea is wrong, I get out, right? I close my trade, I get impartial, I reset. Once you get comfortable doing that, now you can start to talk about okay, how can I maximize PNL here to justify? No, so CL here is going to be a little bit challenging because our breakout target's going to be that 380. So we need to get a breakdown through that red line prior to us being able to target those secondary levels. So not quite yet. So new homes in Austin, Texas, I would recommend watching the videos in the Start Here channel and the How to Trade with DTR channel. They break down a recommendation on how I set up orders, how I recommend people execute them, and what the process should be there. So I would recommend watching that content. It'll be a much deeper explanation than anything I could provide for you right now in the stream. Hey, crude might be maybe more interesting. The NQ is behaving or giving that breakdown, but not on the volume profile we would like. CL with maybe a little bit of a crappy close there at the end. So today, right, we're looking at breakouts through high or low of day because we've seen really choppy price action and we've not seen very clean moves from the ORB, right? We're seeing price action give us like a third of the move, stall out, and then there's still space to the downside. So it's just based on today's context, right? Like I don't want to give you an absolute rule because there isn't an absolute rule. It's based on context, right? Today we're seeing choppy price action, so we'd like to separate away from that chop prior to looking for breakout trades. If we're seeing choppy price action and we're seeing momentum, then we're seeing breakouts into chop, and I want absolutely nothing to do with that. Okay, so again, we're looking at NQ here, broke down through the chop range. And stop here would be 376, right? Something like that. 375, we'll call it. Reference price here would be 360. So you're looking at 15 points of risk. And again, just be patient here. Stop loss wrong. And guys, I would have been stopped out, right, prior to it making this move. So no big deal, right? Like there should be no FOMO. Oh, why am I still not in this trade? Fuck off with that. You would have gone stopped out. The only way that you would have made money being in this position is having broken a rule. Not sustainable. Yeah, we can look at the 3-min time frame as well. Again, the risk reward here maybe is a little bit more challenging. I don't think I can look on the 3. And this candle is likely to give me increasing volume as well. So if it can close as like a reasonable shape, this could also act as like a secondary confirmation here. And we could tighten up the risk reward potentially. So no real rush yet, right? Still being very patient. Okay, ES also now down through that 380 area. So starting to potentially set up for a similar scenario there. And now watch, guys. This is our point to watch. Okay. I am in average price 564.75. 564.75. Stop loss 575. Two contracts. Ooh, want to watch this? Wait. Oh, there we go. Took the stop. Maybe that increasing volume could have been my signal, but it does feel. All right, let's try this again. We can maybe look at this now to the upside here, targeting high of day, failed breakout. God damn. That's crazy. Two points. That's painful. Oh, what a funny game. There's a little part of me that wants to buy this fake out. Yeah, it would have been the right entry, but hard to trust. could be in play here a little bit to the upside. 10:30, still early. I still think we might be able to get an aggressive entry here. The little fake out lower probably actually helps the bull case, doesn't really invalidate it. Yeah, same idea here, right, as NQ. How? You went way too aggressive with your sizing, young dude. Like, that's double the loss I took. Well, watch the risk management videos in the Start Here channel, man. Can't trade with that kind of risk management. I even told you how many contracts, right? Like, they can't happen. Yeah, I think that's reasonable. Yeah, you too, mate. Yeah, so I am watching here a little bit. Stop would be 539. Reference price under 550. And there's two things I'm watching for here on this pullback, right? A, the enthusiasm, and just to make sure that it doesn't want to do the little fake out. This is a long. The red line's at the bottom, right? Red line at the bottom equals a long. White line at the top equals a long, right? This is our reversal signal to the upside. Again, back to watching here. Again, little inside bar doesn't kill me. And if I'm patient to your team, I'm 10 points away from a green day, right? So don't do anything stupid. Don't rush it. Don't force anything. Be responsible with your position sizing. It makes it 10 times easier to win. Like, legitimately. So we'll wait to see if we can get an aggressive entry technique here to set up. Don't want to use it on this candle because it's just not going to be enough time. I'd probably go like this as my reference price. 578. So stop loss for now would be 568. Long. And I'm watching closely here. And there's the potential fake out. So now we're going back to watching at low of day. So 539. And then our reference price for that, right, was 550. Yeah, we're looking for about 10 more points here lower. Price is for sure stalling. Again, no rush here, right? No rush. Come on. You know, I don't know if I want to use the aggressive on this because it kind of limits the sizing I have. It's very restrictive from a position sizing perspective. And there's just like no margin for error here, right? Like generally I want to be getting a pullback that's under this green line. It's pretty much right at it. Like I wouldn't be super enthusiastic about that. I'd like to get a little bit more space, right? So that my risk reward zone's a little bit more appealing. So for now, I'm still going to stick to this. I'm going to wait for this candle to close. And we'll see if we can tighten up the risk reward here a bit. Same thing on ES. Maybe looking a little bit like a flag. Not a very clean one though. Okay, so again, same thing, looking for the potential now, just smooth move here, right? We would like to see an aggressive entry technique to be able to have some space. So for now, we're looking at a 572-ish. 574 for now. Reference price of 82. Okay, sweet. So now we're looking for a gentle pullback here. You gotta be fucking kidding me today. Come on. Gentle, gentle, gentle. This son of a bitch. Okay, watch. Bit bouncy. Base expectation here is fake out lower, then find support. Oh my gosh. How can you not laugh? How can you not laugh? Well, no entry, clearly. This thing has got a fucking mind of its own. Yeah, hey, no entry, guys. I mean, if we would have chased that to the upside, we would have gotten crushed again, right? Like, take the positive out of it. Yeah, like we would have gotten crushed chasing that. So, all things considered, like us forcing ourselves to slow down, buy ourselves time, right? Like, it's saving us a ton of money. It sucks. It's boring. It sucks to still be down, 380 bucks with that. But we're saving a ton of money. We're 10 points away, 15 points away from being green on the day. Like we don't need much here, right? So instead of trying to press and make it all back, we just let the market do its own thing, drive everyone else crazy, laugh, right? Enjoy our lives. And yeah, worst case scenario, we'll get another opportunity here somewhere along the lines. It does have a fucking mind of its own today, though. Oh my god. Okay, so here again, maybe is our opportunity. Reference price would be like here-ish, 550-ish. I think realistically, target should just be 500. So now this would be a short, right? Stop loss 558. And again, guys, everything we've seen here today has been a fake out disaster, right? So base expectation is that's what it's going to be here until it proven otherwise. I don't think we're going to get the proven otherwise. Yeah, this is, I mean, like I'm watching the Joker. How could you not laugh at this? Yeah, it's honestly kind of bullshit, eh, AJ? Like this is not a day to press. I don't know what I'm supposed to do with this candle. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills now. Yeah, it's, well, now that you're leaving, AJ, I think we've gotten permission to make a 3K monster. I think that's how it works, right? I mean, I think realistically, guys, like I'm so close to like my kill zone exit time here. And all I'm seeing is kind of like bullshit price action. I don't know how motivated I am to force another decision. I'll give it a few more minutes, but yeah, this price action has been a bit of a joke. Yeah. I don't know why I'm finding price action so funny today. It's making me laugh. I don't understand. All right, let's give it a few minutes here. Yeah, I mean it's been a grindy, slow, pathetic chop here. Again, my target would be 500. It's not a ton of space. I have to be like this. Right. So again, if this thing doesn't cooperate pretty much instantly, there's no chance. I would be a little bit surprised here, I would say, if it came together. Yep. As expected. What a weird day. Also, kind of one of those. I mean, right now it's a pretty small red day, minus 380 bucks. But I'd almost be happy with this. Sounds crazy. You're gonna have to be like that. That's kind of tough. Nice, Raul. Congratulations. Yeah, Kyle, I'm pretty close to also calling it here. Well, first of all, Deb, not every day is going to be indecision like this for eternity, right? It's going to be a couple days, maybe a couple weeks, right? Maybe whatever. So, no, it won't always be like this. If you look at our trading journal, we're still making money here this week, right? So today, okay, we're going to be down 380, but that's 582, 1400 minus 380. So like if that isn't building P&L, I don't really know what is, man. Like too much focus on a intraday obsession, right? We're never one day away from being rich, never one day away from being poor, hopefully. So you got to look at it at a slightly larger time frame, man, and not have that goldfish brain so quick. Yeah. Yeah, you ask your advisor for it, Joel, if you don't have it. All right, let's go, Eric. 67 bucks, monster day. Nice work, Todd. Okay, so CL maybe is tradable here a little bit. We're targeting 63.88. Now you could still look at the pullback entry technique, has not made a lower low. If that's the case, the reference price would be like 64.13. Stop loss on this short, 64.17. And I would go 10 contracts here, right? If we can get the right reaction. Well, let's see if it can pull back here just enough. Okay, too fast, too fast, too fast. Not the right reaction. Could be now doing the little fake out and break. Can't do it on the 5-min, not the right vol. Oh, interesting. Still very interested here. There's still a little bit of hope. A little bit of hope. Okay, so maybe could look at something like this here. 535 stop loss, reference price 520-ish. Go a little bit higher. Go like 525 reference price. Again, a short. Close. Okay, guys, I am in average price 528, 528. Come on. Stop loss 536. Sorry, stop loss 536. I might get stopped out here in a second. I'm pretty lucky. Come on. Oh, there we go. Got stopped. It just will not stop faking out. Just cannot stop not stop getting faked. Nice work, Kenneth. Yeah, 100% Kiki, 100%. All right, so back to being potentially interesting here. Needs to be above 34. Too fast so far. Needs to start to stall out. Sizing though. Okay, now so we get the fake out, or if this is a reversal. Nah, it's a reversal. Yeah, enjoy your days, guys, right? Go enjoy them. Absolutely no problems. Absolutely zero issues. So this would then be the fake out entry, 549 stop loss. Okay, still watching here. Nice, Deb. See what happens when you don't put those limiting beliefs in your head. So appreciate you saying that, Eric. But I would strongly disagree with your sentiment, right? This 11 a.m. candle has been increasing outlier volume. This 1045 candle been increasing outlier volume. This most recent 15-min candle increasing outlier volume. So I would suggest that your analysis is incorrect. 5 min, 10:45. That's not an hour ago. I'm like, what setups, right? Like, I haven't had anything close to being a trade here for a while. No, this is not a multi-candle or, oh, sorry. I mean, not multi-time frame. It's effectively just like a breakdown setup, right? We're seeing separation. We're seeing it kind of flag down and then break down. Just looking for that continuation. As long as nothing in my idea has been invalidated, what do I have to be afraid of, right? So what would make my idea wrong? Well, a breakout above this 556 and hold above that area would probably say that these sellers are no longer in control. So as long as I don't see bigger volume than that, and I don't see a breakout above that zone, that's still for me the buyers or the sellers that are in control. Okay, this is our chance for a possible reversal signal here now, right? So now we're getting a separate setup that's contrary to this 11 a.m., right? We're probably invalidating that signal. All right, so now we've got a reversal, increasing outlier volume, right? So guys, the basics are all there. I'm not interested in compromising. The reason I'm still willing to trade, or the reason why I'm still watching instead of why I haven't called it for a day, is because we continue to see that volume standard at least being the bare minimum we require. If it was quiet, I would be done by now. Now, all I'm looking for here is a good reaction, maybe a little bit of a fake out first, find support, then get over that 550. Okay, so stop here for now would be 540 long. And it's 10 points of risk, right? Based on that reference price, would be 2 contracts. And let's see if it finds support. If it doesn't find support, then we walk away. So when I'm using the aggressive entry technique, my reference price is the high of my confirmation candle on a bullish scenario. So if I see a breakout, right, the previous candle that showed me momentum should be acting as support. And I want to be using that support as my entry logic. Again, guys, please watch the videos in the Start Here channel as they explain these concepts in a lot more detail, and they'll have you better prepared for when you watch the live stream. I obviously would like to be able to answer as many questions as I can here intraday. But when I'm looking for an entry or I'm watching a trade come together, I can't be really answering questions in those moments because that's where I'm required to have the most amount of focus, right? So please just cooperate with me a little bit here and make it easy for yourself. All the information you need is publicly available to you already. Be proactive. Okay, so we're looking for a gentle pullback here. Okay, so now we have to go to the aggressive technique again. Swap it over, right? Let's see where it finds support. Okay, 340 or sorry, 544. Okay. All right, guys, I'm in 552.25, 552.25. Stop loss 544. Two contracts. Don't do it. Come on. Oh, whoops. 552.25, guys. 552.25. Guys, we need to watch the video for setting stop loss techniques to avoid getting faked out. Guys, we need to watch this, please. You want it set so that it triggers when your sell price hits that number, not when the buy price hits that number. Do the same thing every single time, guys. Please watch these videos. They're going to save you a ton of money. We want to get stopped out when the sell price crosses our spread. Does everyone understand what that means? Yes or no, guys? Come on. I did get stopped out, guys. I have been stopped out of this trade. But I don't get stopped out. Fuck's sake. When I don't get stopped out, I set my price, right? So that the sell price has to cross 544, right? Not the buy price, because I'm trying to get out when the spread crosses. So you guys got stopped out when the spread was, or the price was 23, 544.75. That's where you got stopped out, right? So your stop loss price wasn't 544. It was 544.75. That was your stop loss trigger price, right? When that price hit, that's when you're, guys, watch the video. It's not hard. It's stop loss plus spread. It's not hard. Watch the video. It's literally called stop loss techniques to avoid getting faked out. Like it cannot be titled in any more specifics than that. And it's when we have these choppy conditions and these challenging conditions and these bouncy markets, that's where those details are the most important. So, kind of infuriating, to be honest, to put all this information out there, all this information, all this hard work, and then people aren't fucking watching the resources. I don't know how many times I got to talk about this. Go through the resources. Go through the start here channel. Go through the how to trade with DTR. Go through the trading docs. Like there's no, yeah. No one's going to come save you if you don't do the work, right? Not hard. Really isn't hard. Like if I showed up to my hedge fund job and I didn't know how to set an order to get executed at the price I want to get executed at, you know how fast I'd get fired? You know how much people would make fun of me on the desk for being a fucking idiot? Like if we're not going to control the variables we can control, guys, we don't stand a chance. Honestly infuriating. Like if I don't know the price that I'm going to fill at, the price I'm going to exit my trade, how do I know that any of my other risk management stuff is actually reasonable? How do I know that I'm actually going to be getting that $500 of max risk? If I don't know the price I'm getting out at, how can I know those things? If I don't know those things, why would I be willing to take a trade? Like if your expectation is to join this room join this team, right, and to trade with us, and you expect me to care about the details you don't give a shit about, you're not going to make any money. You're not. Like the market is too competitive for us to just like try to wing it, right? So why do we bring that energy here? Why do we not practice what we preach, right? Why don't we try to execute the habits that are actually designed to make you money? Why I don't know why we don't want to be accountable to ourselves, right, to get better. It drives me insane. So guys, just be very clear. Like I don't understand why this is a point of confusion. When I get stopped out, I want my execution price to be the number I write on my screen or the number I say out loud. The only way for that to happen is if the spread crosses and hits that number. That's the only way, right? So if I wanted my stop loss to be 544.50, I would write it down at 544.50. But I do not want to be getting stopped out at that price. Again, Ghost, you're kind of betraying yourself here a little bit, right? There's a video inside the trading docs, how to journal your trades. I've also posted probably 50, right, of my most recent trades in the daily recap channel, where I'm literally sharing my exact entry, my exact journal, everything I'm doing. So the resources are all there available to you. Got to go out and find them. My team, there's nothing that I ask you to do on a daily basis that I haven't provided a tremendous amount of resources on how to do it already, right? The formula to be successful here is very simple. You have to just choose to want to follow it. I've said it before. My journaling process is really simple. I keep a notepad in front of me and I write down every intrusive thought, every idea that comes into my head, and I write that down on that notepad. Once the trading day is over, I then organize those thoughts and put them into my trading journal. Here's the thing. The only way for you to figure out what you're missing or what you want to do or your process is to just do it. Right? You journal a couple trades, you get some feedback on them. All of a sudden, hey, this is what's missing. Okay, now I need to get this information faster. So guys, stop asking for permission to get better. Just be selfish and actually focus on yourselves. What do you mean by that, Joshua? It's really simple, right? If I'm looking on the daily time frame, okay, daily time frame, I'm doing my pre-market prep. Let's pretend this is pre-market. Yesterday, green candle. Today's current open price, right? Above that candle. So it's gapping up, right? It's higher than the previous price. If it was down at 336, right, it'd be gapping down. So all you're looking for is today's candle green or red? If it's green, it's gapping up. If it's red, it's gapping down. All right, it's basic. I'm not in a trade. I don't care that CL broke the 64 level. I'm not going to place another trade. It's impossible for me to want to call out trades, guys, if our details are sloppy, right? Like it's literally impossible. People are just going to be losing money from a lack of preparation. Any other questions, your team? I'm not going to do anything else. I'm just deployed. Look, guys, just as a final reminder, right? The work in trading isn't the trading part. It is literally everything else we do outside of market hours to set ourselves up to execute successfully. If we are sloppy around our details, if we are sloppy around the edges, if we're not going to do that work, that review, and that preparation, you're wasting everybody's time, right? It's just that simple. Because this isn't a game you can just show up and wing it. And yes, you can make a little bit of money copying for a short period of time, but you're never going to make any money long term if you're just hoping I'm just going to show up, click a few buttons, and everything's going to work out for me for the best. You have to be more accountable to yourself for the quality of your future. This isn't a lottery ticket here, right? This isn't Supermax or whatever it's called. This is an opportunity to work, improve, and to get better. That if that isn't your number one focus, then trading isn't for you, because the pain of losing will make you quit before you ever actually improve the technique that actually gets you through that pain point. There's no other game in the world that gives you a larger opportunity to create whatever wealth you want. So why are you disrespecting that opportunity, right? By not giving it your absolute everything. Like if you want to be successful at something and you want to be in the top 1% of anything, then you can't behave like 99% of other people. And 99% of other people are showing up just out of bed, hungover, not prepared. They don't give a shit. They want to be rich, but they don't want to do the work that gets them there. And honestly, it's so disrespectful to your future self. This is my maybe 17th or 18th red day on the year. And the reason why that number is so low is not because I have some God given talent or because I'm some super genius or because I'm whatever. I'm a fucking idiot. You guys hear me talk every day. But all I decided, right, was that I was not going to give myself any excuses to not go for it with everything I had, right? And once you get addicted to like that uncomfortable feeling, then this game will reward you more than any other opportunity you've ever had, right? So I would say that my frustration in this situation comes when in the moment it feels like I want this more than you, right? And I'm not talking about anyone specific here. Like we have to want it our ourselves, right? Like no one can want this more than us because their work isn't going to make me better. Like Todd, you getting and improving your trading isn't going to make me a better trader, right? Seeing you do the work isn't going to make me better. The only way that I can get better is to do the work myself, hold myself to a very high standard, and then improve. And you all here have a much different advantage than me because you have someone that you can go to and ask, right? You have someone here who can help speed up that process for you. The whole point of why you joined this program. So do it, right? Do it properly. Don't waste your time. Don't waste my time either. The whole whole reason why I started DTR, one of the big reasons, not the whole reason, but one of the big reasons is that I thought that the way that trading was portrayed online to most people on social media, whatever, was bullshit. Everyone just shows you this like incredible lifestyle and they show you how well they're living and how rich they are. They don't show you any of the work that's actually required to get there. That's where I think DTR shines. Like I'm not afraid of looking like an idiot in here. I'm not afraid of embarrassing myself. I'm not afraid of saying something stupid. All of that is irrelevant because everything else that I do is there to make me a better trader. So all of those flaws, all of those insecurities, all of those whatever are just superficial thoughts that get in the way of me actually doing the work that I need to do. And that's why it's year 13 and I'm still trading. Why I haven't had to work a real job in my entire life, right? Why I make more money in a month than most people make in a year. So you embrace that chaos, right? You embrace that hard work, you embrace that challenge, and you make your actions match your words. No one can want it more for you. And the lack of preparation is the easiest way to show that. Any questions here, team? I don't really want to preach. Everyone's an adult. Everyone here makes their own decisions. Final call here, team. Final call. All right, guys. See you tomorrow. Do your work.